survive very long, but what I liked about them was their red-nosed jollity. I liked that picture called Nid d'Amour, Love Nest, I suppose, which was...
It's a postgraduate course, of course. They certainly come from all over the country. They're fairly mature, you know, by the time they get there, in a mild sort of way. They're in their early 20s. And that's why I think the work has this degree of maturity.
Now let's go on to the film. We've been to see the Manchurian Candidate at the Odeon, Leicester Square. Robert Robinson.
When I go to the pictures to see a thriller, it's only once in a blue moon that I find myself actually thrilled. Because although the director starts off with a nice, preposterous plot, he often goes on to ruin the thing by not noticing that his actors are acting it in a preposterous manner. They tend to let you know that they know it's only for fun, and of course that lets the gas out of it. Now, the Manchurian Candidate is done in such a nice, straight-faced way, and the villains are all quiet family men, and the streets and the parks where everything happens are so faithfully photographed, that the director is able to take you round the hairpin bends of his brightly coloured plot at speed and never tip your credulity overboard. In actually talking about the plot, of course, I don't have his resources, so I must invite you to fasten your seatbelts. As I explained, a bunch of fiendish Orientals hypnotize a group of American soldiers captured in Korea, turn one of them into a homicidal zombie, and send him back to America to interfere on a grand scale with the presidential election. It's a measure of the grip of this film that one character can actually refer to Fu Manchu, and your disbelief remains unwaveringly suspended. I should think the director, John Frankenheimer, has sat at the feet of Hitchcock in his time, because some of the scenes, the hypnosis sessions especially, and the political convention at the end, are suffused with the sort of surreality which characterizes the best of the Hitchcock dreams. Frankenheimer has the same trick of leading an audience into an extravagant nightmare with the most matter-of-fact air in the world. I wish all stories told for fun in the cinema were as bright, vigorous and inventive as this one.
Bright, vigorous, inventive, but schoolboy rubbish, basically, would you say?
No, schoolboy pabulum, but certainly not rubbish, because it was so well done.
Robertson.
Rubbish. When I think of what we have to sit through often, this is a superb film. It's one of the most brilliant films of the English genre I've ever seen. The pace, the attack, the inventiveness in composition, in photography, in camera work, in cutting, was to me breathtaking. Of course it's operatic, of course it's tremendously blown up and inflated and larger than life, but it's done with such panache that it doesn't matter. I thought often, incidentally, of the earlier Orson Welles,
yes,
as well as Hitchcock. Do you remember the ominously billowing curtain that ascends just before the political rally?
You didn't feel you'd seen it all before?
Oh, certainly not. An extremely original film.
Bamber.
Well, I kind of trot along in the exhaust fumes of that magnificent outburst, but I did enjoy the film. I didn't, unlike Robinson, get suspension of disbelief from it. I took it all the time as a very enjoyable fantasy, the whole thing, often very exciting, but also, more than you mentioned, I think I found it extremely funny. There was a dialogue between Frank Sinatra and a girlfriend he just met in the corridor of a train, which could have come straight from Catch-22, and there were marvelous sort of themes through it, like Lincoln, which the McCarthyite politician referred himself to always. In his house, for example, he had a statue of Lincoln, and above it, beautifully arranged, a lampshade, part of a lamp, in fact, in the shape of Lincoln's stovepipe hat. And the stars and stripes which they had at their party turned out to be made of caviar. All you saw was a complete stars and stripes, and then a spoon lifting a bit out of it.
Cyril Ray.
No, I adore thrillers and was rather disappointed in this one. I was entertained and pleased and excited by it, but I don't think that the film was as well made as most of its admirers are saying.